Good day, guys. Timelines and probabilities. What is all this about? Big topic, interesting topic, open-minded topic. If you've heard about these terms before, then you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'm going to try to give you an idea to where you can jump on board and actually enjoy this video and maybe get something out of it for yourself. So, timelines are different occurrence of events. So a timeline is basically one way that something took place. Another timeline is where the same event ended in a different result, or maybe it started in a different way. Another timeline is where this event didn't occur at all. So all these are just basically possibilities, probabilities of how things played out. So you have your individual timelines of your life, and then you have like humanity timelines. So we're going to take them bit by bit to kind of go over all of them. So where do I get this idea of like timelines and probabilities? Like, what does it all mean? So think of Earth. Open your mind and think of Earth as a project. Think of Earth as somebody's project, somebody's assignment maybe, but it's somebody's project that this entity or whatever, or group of entities is responsible for. So in their interest, in order to get the most out of this project, they're going to consider all possible happenings of events, all kinds of events, all kinds of outcomes. So in order to maximize it, because think about it, if you only have one timeline, that there's only one set way of how things are going to go. On one hand, it's safe, it's predictable, you can control it. But it's boring from the idea of like expansion, from the idea of research, from the idea of studying something. You know, when scientists do an experiment, they're constantly changing variables to see, right? You have your constant variables, and then you have the ones that change. Same thing here. In order to maximize the output, in order to maximize like the magnitude of the project, in order to get the most out of it, the most to study, the most to analyze, you gotta have all kinds of different ways that things occurred, all kinds of different outcomes. So there's a timeline where one event occurred one way, and it ended one way. Another timeline, this event ended in a different way. Another timeline, this event started differently than on these ones. Another timeline, this event didn't occur at all. So the magnitude and the beauty of creation is that all these timelines are very perfectly intertwined, interwoven, to where every little thing that's happening is tied to the next one, and they're maybe developing independently from the other timelines. Sometimes timelines merge, sometimes they collapse. So think of it as like humanity as a project that's constantly going, constantly expanding, constantly looking to just see what else can we try, what else can happen here. If you step back and look at everything big picture, and look at humanity as big picture and as a project, consider that for one moment, then you won't be as reactive to whatever's happening on Earth. You won't be as reactive to all the crazy things that are happening that you hear in the news, all the trauma, drama, all that. You'll just look at it and be like, wow, okay, the game is changing. Okay, we're getting new players introduced. Okay, this is being taken out. If you look at it like that, it will make your life way more easier. You'll be able to not be as judgmental of what's happening, not be as reactive, and you can actually enjoy it in a fun way, like from a vantage point. You look at it from, wow, okay, this makes sense. So that's what I mean by timelines and probabilities. So with all that said, there's billions of timelines. There's billions of Earths. Yes, you heard it right. It's not cray-cray. Stay with me. Based on what I said, remember what I said, billions of Earths with all kinds of events happening. There's Earths where World War II maybe was won by Germany. Maybe World War II never happened. Maybe there's a timeline where World War III is happening. There's a timeline where Kennedy was never assassinated. I read that somewhere where he was never assassinated. And that timeline, the Earth, is very, very technological, very technologically advanced. So, because that makes things interesting, you know. So any event that occurred, think of it as on a timeline, it didn't occur. Just for what? For creation purposes, for interesting purposes, to make things interesting, to make things, you know, because the universe is all about expansion, evolution, moving forward. Same thing with humanity. We're constantly being pushed to move forward. So now, when I say with these timelines, you have humane timelines, things that impact humanity in general. There's a timeline that never had COVID. Maybe there was another event that brought humans together, that made some changes. We experienced the COVID one. The same thing goes with your individual timelines of your life. So you only know yourself as this way. You were born here, you grew up here, you went to school here, or maybe you didn't go to school. But anytime you had to make a choice, and anytime there was more than one option, different timelines formed. So let's say, speaking romantically, you were dating two guys or two girls or whatever, and you had to make a choice because one of them said, you know what, you have to pick me or him. Now, you pick one. The other you picks the other one. That's another timeline. So you go on that timeline with that person, and you guys do whatever you're gonna do, marry or whatnot, have kids, whatnot, whatever, maybe break up. It doesn't matter. That timeline's happening. On this timeline, you're with this person. Same thing goes with jobs. Let's say you quit your job and you went somewhere, or you stayed. The timelines are still going. Let's say divorce. Let's say you're like, you know what, there's a situation where you're like, I want out of this. One of you got divorced, the other one of you didn't, and that timeline continues. The same thing with moving to places. Let's say one of you moved away from home, went somewhere, like I did, I came to the United States, but another me stayed home and living the life there. So just like, think of it like the creator, the project manager of humanity is giving us all these timelines, is creating timelines based on all the big events that you know in humanity, and little events too, because everything's tied, everything has place to be, big, little, it doesn't matter. It's all happening because it's needed. Whatever's happening is needed for one reason or another. When you're looking from this vantage point, from the vantage point of the project manager, you're not looking at things as good or bad. You're looking at things as, what happens if I introduce this here? What happens if I take this out of here? What happens if we introduce a calamity here, maybe a war over there, maybe a famine over there, maybe a protest over here. Maybe we give people, let's give humanity the internet. Let's see what they do with it. Let's see, are they ready for, I don't know, electric cars, ideas. In the same way, events happen, ideas happen. And usually it's through like thought forms, let's say there's like, let's make this change. So somebody is gonna get that thought form. It's gonna be like, oh, I got an idea. So he thinks he got an idea, but that idea is already available in this pool of ideas. And that person happened to pull it at that time. Somebody on the other side of the earth will also, if trusting, will pull that idea. That's how inventions happen. They've shown that different people, opposite sides of the world, came up with the same things, like pyramids sprouting in different parts of the world. You have the ones in Mexico, you have the ones in Egypt. How people didn't communicate at that time, but because the idea was available. Same thing with inventions. So just as you have like probabilities, possibilities for Earth in general, you have individual ones. So just like you have the project manager for Earth, you have your whole self. You probably heard of it, whole self, higher self, the whole you, whatever. It's basically the one that is setting up your game, okay? Because think of it as your soul also, your soul is interested in experience. So your soul is going to say, okay, I'm going to incarnate on Earth at this time, and I want to experience as much as possible based on these themes that, let's say, I'm exploring, okay? So the soul is not going to go, all right, well, I only want to do this, I only want to be a woman, and I want to be, let's say, married and with children and dog and a job, and that's limiting. The soul is like, hey, if I'm going to come down here, I'm going to freaking live, and I'm going to experience as much as possible, and I'm going to try to fire on all engines, not all engines, fire on all pistons, whatever. So it's in the soul's interest to maximize its time here, to maximize its gathering of experience. So there's going to be timelines and probabilities. So in one timeline, he's going to be a woman. In one timeline, he's going to be a man. In one timeline, he's going to be a woman who never married, and she has a career, or let's say, or she just never did anything. She just went into the woods and just lived there alone. And then another timeline, that woman is basically is the opposite. She's in the limelight, in the public light. She's a famous whatever. Let's say white timeline, you have a bunch of children, but then another view, no children. Okay, so this way the soul is like, hey, if I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna freaking make sure that I get the most for my money, the most for my experience. Okay, and so that's where free will comes in. People go, well, what does free will mean? Like, well, what does it mean? Do I have free will or not? You do. And the free will is determined through the choices that you make based on all these billions of possibilities that are offered to you. That's where your free will comes in. So some people might say, well, how is it free will if it's already determined? Well, but that's why you have billions of them. So that you feel like, wow, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. The soul is never going to limit you because he doesn't want to limit itself. It wants to come in here and experience as much as possible. So it's going to give you billions of variations of timelines of how things are going to go. And then you get to choose. That's where your free will is. You get to choose what you want to do. What are you going to be? Maybe in this timeline, you're a singer, but this timeline, you're a dancer, but this timeline, you're a painter. You're still playing in the world of arts. You're still creating beautiful things, but you're doing them through different outlets. Let's say you are a, leadership. On this timeline, you are a president of something. On this timeline, you are maybe a leader of a tribe in Africa. On this timeline, maybe you are a leader. Hold on, I'm thinking of leaders. You get the idea, guys. Sometimes, like, I want to give good examples, but sometimes I'm like, I freeze and I can't think of anything. So then I give it up to you. You have your examples that you can fit here. So the idea is that you have billions of choices, and whatever you can think of, that means it already exists somewhere. If you can't think of it, that means it doesn't exist. So things like Avatar exists. That world exists. That's where Cameron pulled it from. He channeled it, whatever. He trusted whatever he was getting, and he brought it on paper and he showed it to us. Lara Croft exists in a timeline somewhere. She's doing her thing. Harry Potter is doing his magic. Indiana Jones is doing his thing. Star Wars are taking place. Okay, so these are all timelines. We're not aware of them. We're aware of our timeline, but they're happening. And if they were not happening, we wouldn't be able to think of them. So any idea that you get, any invention that you get, any crazy idea, sick or wonderful, means it's happening somewhere on some timeline and some dimension. Okay? And that's the cool part, is that because if it wasn't existing, you couldn't conceive it. Because in a way, you don't get to conceive. You just get to pull from what's available already. But the good thing is that there's a ton of shit available to pull from. So if you just, quiet your mind and all that, and really let go and really trust, you could get a lot of cool stuff. That's where your creativity comes in. And then you bring it forward. You put it on paper, whatever you want to do. I feel like my examples are always the same. Songs, dances, movies. But you get the idea, guys. This world is so vast. There's things that I don't even know, but they exist. So whatever medium you are in, whatever passions you have, you work with them. Okay, there's a reason why you have those passions, because your soul wants to experience itself in these domains. Okay, like me, I don't want to do medicine. That's not my thing. But somebody, that's their passion. So just follow that, because you'll always have little crumbs. You'll have little clues as to where you should go, what you should do, and then you're given these billions of ways that you could do something. And by the way, no matter what you choose, you are never wrong and you are never lost. You will always come back to yourself. You will always come back home. By home, I'm meaning to yourself. So even if you're on this path and you're going somewhere here and you feel like you're lost, you're not lost, because boom, 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 you're gonna come right back here and you'll be like, oh, okay, I know now why I went through that, because otherwise I would have never understood what I need to know in order to continue. Okay, so the cool thing about the soul, about your whole self, is that everything is set up so perfectly and so cool that no matter where you go, no matter where you turn, you will always find help. You will always find somebody there. You will always find you're never alone, because everything is set up in a way to where we all interact with each other and we all impact each other. That's the beauty of it. That's where each soul kind of fits into the big tapestry of things. You know, you have your own probabilities, but then my probabilities are intertwined with yours, because I don't get to be here alone. I get to be here with other people. So they come in with their, and we kind of mesh it together, and we say, okay, now we're together on this timeline. And then other people, as you go along, other people come in, depending on what you choose. If you go in this field, you will attract these people, and then this field, other people. So it's beautiful. It's so cool, because you get to see how intricate everything is, and it's all just so perfectly aligned. The things that you go like, oh my God, I can't believe that this happened. Like this happened, and then I ended up over there, and then somebody gave me this, and then they told, because it's perfect like that. If you just trust in a sense and just follow, you will never get lost. You will always come back to yourself, and you can really have a blast on this little game called life. All right. So based on timelines, you go to the timeline that you're interested in. And by interested in, I don't mean just consciously, but also subconsciously. So consciously, you might say, I just want to be happy, and I just want to have a good life, and I want to have this. But subconsciously, if you're attracted to drama and trauma, that's what you will draw to yourself, because that's what draws, not what you say. It's what you're putting out vibrationally, subconsciously. That's what draws things to you, okay? So you could be, if you're drawn to drama, you will draw timelines of drama. If you're drawn to peace and fun, you will draw timelines of fun. And same thing with if you're interested in ideas of war and whatever, you will get to experience the timeline of a war. And that's fine. It's not wrong. If you want to explore that, it's beautiful, because your whole self is like, buddy, if you happen to be interested in this, here, I have a timeline for you with that. If you're interested in experiencing a nuclear winter, boom, you're on that timeline. So basically, we all get to just kind of vibrate. We're all attracted to wherever it fits our interests, fits our subconscious pool, our, I call it vibration, but I know it's a word that fuck it, vibration, whatever you're putting out, is what you're going to attract. So if you are into conflicts and all that, you will go there. If you have, for example, with even big events, when you have COVID or something that was so major, you hear a lot about being in the eye of the storm, where things are really calm. On the outside, it's crazy, but in the eye of the storm, it's quiet and calm. And that's how you want to be when there is something really big happening, for all humanity. Just the more calm you stay, the less you buy into the craziness, the cray-cray, the people running around and scaring you with this and that. And remember how it was with COVID. Everybody had an opinion about it. Some people were scaring the shit out of people about a society where you're going to be branded and you're going to be chipped. And I guarantee you, there is an earth where that is happening, where you get chipped and all that. There is a dystopian earth for sure. So people that are interested in those themes, play over there. Beautiful. Play in that sandbox. People that just took it easy and said, okay, cool, I'm going to make it the best of it. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to freak out. They get to be in this sandbox, okay? And you'll notice big events that draw people in and shatter people. If you stay calm and if you just make the best of where you are, every situation, just focus on you, what you like to do, what makes you happy, just calm. And don't get drawn in. Don't try to pick sides whenever there's such a big event or something. Just kind of watch as a project manager, watch as a programmer of a game. And just say, okay, this is happening, cool. But don't react. Don't get pulled into it. Don't pick sides, I would say. So if something big is happening, if you are calm, if you just stick to yourself, to what you like to do, your interests, it will pass you like it never happened. For example, once again with COVID, let's say some people didn't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason, religious, non-religious, maybe they were just I don't want to do it. Let's see what happens. And some people were saying, well, if you don't get vaccinated, you'll never be able to go anywhere. You won't be able to eat. You won't be able to. People stayed calm, didn't panic. Okay, I can't eat right now in a restaurant. I'll make the best of it. I'll eat at home. And eventually, next thing you know, there is no more need to show proof of vaccination. There is no more need to show anything. So if you just stay calmly and not freak out and not panic, but of course the mind panics, the big events that are happening that are so scary and shattering, they will pass you so nice and calmly. And you'll be like, you know what? It's like it never happened. To me, some days I feel like, gosh, it's like COVID never happened. Same thing when you have like big news like, oh my God, US debt ceiling. If this, that, nothing is going to crash. It's, you know, I would say whenever you feel like your people or whoever is trying to scare you, is trying to get you to react, just be calm and just say everything's going to work out in the best possible way. Any event that is happening, that is allowed to happen on Earth, however it looks, is always for the better. Even if it looks horrible, even if it is devastating, painful, it's always for the better, because later, people look back and say, oh, yeah, you know what? Because of that, this happened. And because of this happened. And I get it now. Because with humans, we a lot of times don't learn from peacefulness. We're not there yet. We learn through conflict, we learn through drama. So until we are calm and peaceful ourselves, we will have events that are traumatic and dramatic to kind of shake us up, to maybe change something. So for now, this is how, this is how humanity changes, is through like strong events. But the key is don't panic, stay calm, and stay in your sandbox, do what you like to do, focus on your own interests, your own little world, and I promise you all the crazy stuff will just pass you by in the most peaceful way possible. What else? Same thing, another example is, let's say you are a group of people, and you are threatened by another group of people. So let's say an example, gays or transgender. You guys are worried about the legislation that's being passed. You're worried about people that are fighting against you or trying to take your rights. Here's the thing, guys. The fact that you exist on this earth is determined. It's chosen, okay? You're here to exist. The only way you go away is if nobody ever wants to be gay again, and if nobody ever chooses that anymore, for whatever reason, consciously, subconsciously. Like, the only way an idea dies down, a timeline collapses, when people stop validating it. When majority of people stop validating a thought form or an idea or something, that's when it dies. The timeline collapses, because it's either not necessary anymore for the evolution of Earth, or people just, there's no more interest in it. So to give you like a funny example, if people stopped believing in the devil, he would go away. He exists because people believe in him. He exists because people are afraid of him, and he exists in the form that he exists because people paint him that way, okay? So if people just completely said, nah, he would go away. That entity, that idea, that thought form, maybe would change, maybe would shift, maybe it would shift into something different, but it would not be the way that we know it, because we don't validate it like that anymore, okay? And the same thing with, like, going back to the idea of being threatened by laws and all that. You are chosen to exist. You are here. Nobody's going to eliminate you. Nobody's going to erase you. Okay? You're not going to get erased because you're chosen to be here. You are allowed to be here. You're allowed to be here. This group is allowed to be here. KKK is allowed to be here. Republicans allowed to be here. Democrats, liberals, conservatives, Pentecostals. Examples. We need good examples. But you get the idea. Every group exists because there's a reason for it to exist, on some way, shape, or form that we're not aware of. But think back to the project manager idea. Think back to the idea of the creator of this game. Having a group around makes sense because that group is doing something for the evolution of humanity. Everything that is happening or not happening on Earth at this time is conducive to the evolution of species. So the idea that all these laws could be passed, people could be protesting against you, they could be hating you, the best you can do is stay in your sandbox. Focus on what you like to do as a transgender, as a person, a minority, focus on what's fun. Find other people who also do the same thing, and you guys do that. Play in that sandbox, and I guarantee you no law, No, nothing is going to impact you negatively. You guys will have a way out of it. Even if something does come up, because you're putting out love, because you're not getting involved in all this mess, because you're not living in fear, things will work out for you. People will come in and help you. Even if there is something that comes up that looks like it could be threatening to you, something will happen. A person will come in, somebody will come in and be like, hey, I can help you with that. Boom, problem solved. But the more you're like afraid and fighting against this group and hating on them, the more you will draw those kind of experiences. In a way, you will feel maybe persecuted, or you will draw people to you that will constantly remind you of all this, of this discomfort. So all I say is just focus on what you like to do, you and those alike. In your sandbox, create this perfect freaking world where you guys have a blast, and I promise you, you will be untouchable, because you will be in your world, on your timeline, doing your thing. And it doesn't matter if the Republicans are in charge, Democrats, who's the governor, what laws are being passed, you will be fine, okay? Because you are loved, you're allowed to be here, and in the form that you are, in the form that you're choosing to be, it doesn't matter. You are allowed to be here, there's space for you, there's resources for you, and there's love for you. All you have to do is just accept it. Now let's go to the opposite side. Let's say you're one of those people that is threatened by ideas of gender, gays, and all that. Talking to the conservative group. Same thing with you guys. Instead of hating on these people and trying to eliminate them and trying to castrate them, whatever you want to do with them, fix them, mind your own stuff. Focus on your world, your sandbox. Find other people like you. Have a blast together. Have fun without worrying. Because just like they're allowed to exist in the way that they want to be, you are allowed to exist in the way that you want to be. Conservative, how you want to be, with all your truths, with all your ideas. If you are choosing to be that way, you're allowed to be here. You have a reason to be here. And there's resources for you, there's space for you. And if you mind your own business in your own sandbox, creating your own perfect world with others who believe the same as you, you guys will be untouchable either. And no gays or transgender is ever going to threaten your security or stability. Because that's how it works, unless there is some thought forms, because as Earth is going forward, some thought forms are going to have to be shaken up, okay? Just like before, people used to burn people at the stake, witches and people talking about the universe or whatever, they used to burn them. Well, that was a thought form that, these people need to be burned. It's sorcery. All of that needs to be, it's the work of the devil. Now, these same people who used to be burned before, probably tarot readers on YouTube, doing beautiful work, guiding people, talking about astrology, numerology, all these things that are out there that are not yet like officially recognized as legit. So thought forms, some of them need to be changed. So if you are in a part of an idea that is basically like, it's time for that idea to change, then yes, there will be obstacles. But I would say even then, if you're all love, if you're all focused on you and your fun and your other people like you, based on the values you have, and if you just focus on that, I promise you, either you will shift, or maybe you will change your mind, or maybe you will loosen up, or maybe they won't seem as scary anymore, but you will be in a way protected in a sense, because you're creating your world with others alike. Same thing with people like, let's say, abortions. If you're worried about the idea that, I'm never going to have an abortion again, whatnot, if you trust and you are love and you just trust that, okay, this happened, I'm going to do my thing, I'm going to focus on, focus on me, focus on what I like, choose fun, choose lightness, not drama, not trauma. I promise you, if you need to have that abortion, you will find somebody who's going to help you with that. Something is going to come up. There's so many resources in this world. Think about the timelines that I mentioned, billions. The resources are going to come in, people are going to be pulled in, and next thing you know, you're like, wow, it worked out like this. But the more you're fighting, the more you're yelling and protesting and all that, the more you're inviting that into your own living room, into your own sandbox. And yes, you will encounter opposition, you'll encounter difficulties, things are going to fall through, and you'll be like, God damn it, it's so hard. It doesn't have to be hard. Choose the easy route, and I promise you, if you need to have that abortion, it will happen. I can't tell you what means, but it will happen. People will come in, resources will come in. Now, The only way that it wouldn't work, let's say the abortion, is if that child is instrumental to your evolution as a soul at this time. Then you will see obstacles. Period, guys. If you're seeing obstacles in something, that means don't do it. It's not yours. Or like change your perspective about it. Because when something is in line with you and your evolution, it will happen easy. It will happen very fast and easy, and it will be so seamless because universe is very seamless. It's perfect. It's simple. We complicate it. So with abortion, the only way I would see that not working out is not because the Supreme Court overturned, not because there's a crazy governor, not because Republicans are in charge, but because that child has to come out. Has to come out. That child is a part of your journey. That child is a part of your journey at this time on earth. And in a way, because maybe that child, being himself with his love, is going to help you realize something that's going to take you to this level, and then you are going to make this, and it's going to change the way we do this. Okay, there's so many ways. Once again, think like the gamer, think like the programmer that's writing all this. So you don't know how that child's going to impact you. That's the only way. But if it's not like that, then things will work out and it will happen seamlessly. What else? So yeah, how are we gonna, same thing with, like, let's give an example that's not as polarizing. Let's say you're big on pollution, earth. The more you focus on your own sandbox, again, for everybody, that sandbox is going to look differently. The more you focus on it, the more you choose yourself, the more you just kind of say, okay, what can I do? What, instead of sitting there trying to change everybody's view on it, or, you know, protest. As you can tell, I don't believe in all that, like fighting. I don't believe in, like, you know, I think we did that a long time. Humans fought so long for shit, and some of that shit is still not solved. So I would say, instead of fighting, focus on your own world, focus on your own fun, on your love, on what you like to do, what you are, who you are. And I promise you, you will get to the timeline where your earth is beautiful and perfect and clean and ecological, and everything is sustainable, and there's no more oil, and there's no more fossil fuels and all that, okay? It all depends on where your energy goes. If you want to fight, if you're looking for fight, you will attract fight. If you're looking at criticisms, criticizing another group, because that's what's happening. You know, we're so threatened by another group. If we can only take them out, our life will be great. Okay, we take them out. And then it's like, But you know what? That group's, I don't like them either. If only we can take them out, then we can really be happy. Okay, take that group out. And then you're like, but you know what? Okay, so there's no more groups to take out. How about our group? You know, I really don't think that we're all actually the same. I think that some of us, that's what happens. And eventually there's only one person left. So it has nothing to do with the outside, it's more with you. You are not satisfied with how things are. You can't accept that what is. It's happening because there's a reason for it. It's needed on some level. You don't know that level, I don't know that level. But if it's chosen to exist, that means there's a reason for it. So instead of focusing on other groups and being threatened by them and trying to take them out and persecute them and expose them and all, if you just focus on making your group fun, the best, then you can create the world that you want to see. Simple. Hard to achieve, but simple. What else, guys? Yeah, and like, for example, let me see, what else? Choose your sandbox, and then others will come play with you in that sandbox. That's it. And then this earth will be this beautiful place that we all want. Like, for example, when you come to my channel, you come to my world, my sandbox, Svetlana's world. For whatever reason, maybe you come here to learn something, maybe have a good laugh, maybe you get triggered by something, maybe you just fall asleep to my voice. But either way, you get to be in my sandbox. Right now you're interacting with me. So find the people that you feel that with, okay? Like, for example, like that you feel that closeness with, people that feel good to you, and spend time with them, you know, because if you guys, if you like them in a sense, that means you guys, they're similar in your vibration in something, there's similarity. So it's like coming home, you're like, I know you, I feel you. So find people like that. And like, what else? So you're probably wondering like, how can I talk about all this? How do I know all this? Am I an expert or something? No, guys, I'm not an expert. I am just talking about the things that I have heard and also putting my own spin on them. And when I heard those things, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that being that way. And I was like, I like that. And then the rest is basically me just kind of how I feel it. And the idea of experts, I would say that's an old paradigm. I think we're done with experts. Before, it used to be that way, where you had to be some kind of have a degree in something, or have to be some kind of a critic, like critics, for example, movie critics, or like that person's telling you what's good and what's bad. Now everybody in a way is a critic. That's why people are doing reviews on movies and all, because I don't need a critic to tell me if I should see this or not. I have my own eyes and I can decide if this is good or bad. So I think now, being the age of Aquarius, everybody's basically a teacher. Everybody's a teacher. Everybody can be a teacher, because teacher to themselves first and then to others. Because I think we're done with the days of one. We're done with the idea that you have to be an expert. We're all experts. We all have wisdom within us. We've all been on Earth many, many, many times, billions of times, tons of incarnations. We're all experts in something. Not officially on paper. Can't put that on your resume. Not yet, but maybe one day you will. But yeah, you've had many lives where you've done different things. So you, for example, crazy scenario, you're on a deserted island, you got a pregnant woman in front of you. If you've ever helped give birth in a lifetime, in that moment you will know how to deliver that baby. The knowledge will be available like this. The memory will be available in the moment. And if you trust it, you'll be able to do it perfectly. And the same thing goes with other things. We've all been here, we've all done different things, played different roles, and that wisdom is within you. It's in your DNA, you carry it. And in the moment, you buy fish, raw fish, and you're like, God damn it, how am I gonna clean it? But then you go home, you grab a knife, and suddenly you know very well what to do, how to descale it, how to clean it, how to get things, how to cook it, because you've done that. You've done that, you've done that. You've been a fisherman before. So why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this that, in a sense, everybody's an expert now. And in a way, we're like, what the hell? What do you mean everybody's an expert? Well, it is, because everybody's trusting their own intuition, wisdom. And even the people that you think are talking the craziest shit. For example, you go on YouTube and you see somebody and you're like, what the fuck is that? Like, what? This makes no sense at all. This person is talking because his point of view, his truth is needed. Once again, the idea that if it exists, if you can see it, that means it's chosen to exist. It's part of the game, and this person, entity, is needed in whatever shape or form they're expressing themselves. Somebody needs to hear them speak that. How do we know that this person is not somebody's, let's say somebody wakes up in the morning and the first thing they do is watch that person's video, and it helps them through the day, helps them get off the ledge. Maybe they fall asleep to that person's videos at night. Maybe, you never know, and an impact can be big, and we always look for like big impact, or it can be very small. So, because basically nothing is too small or too big, it's perfect, and somebody needs to hear what this person is saying, even though to our eyes, it may be total rubbish. But to somebody, it can be the best, most enlightening, most liberating, nurturing truth. Because some people you will hear, they'll either make you feel good, some people will trigger you, some people will put a foot up your ass, get you to get off your ass and do something. Some people will feel sorry for you. Everybody has their approach, how they do things, and you just gravitate to the ones that you were enjoying. And yeah, so when you see like somebody on YouTube or somewhere that you're like, what? And that's another thing, guys, like a lot of times when I was talking about groups and one group is threatened by another group, let's say you are on YouTube and you come across a video and the person is talking and your mind is like being very triggered because they're saying something that you don't agree with or you don't like or is threatening your sense of peace or security or your comfort zone, many of us will say, well, we need to ban this. We need to cancel culture it because it's not up to my standards. Well, you don't get to decide that. You know, it exists for a reason. It's helping somebody in some way or another. Maybe to you, it's negative or whatever you call it, toxic. But to somebody, it's very precious, helpful information. Same thing with songs, you know. Some people like very heavy metal, where you can't even tell what the words are. It's just a bunch of yelling. To another person, it's like, this is not music, this is shit. How do you know that? Maybe for them, maybe that person that's listening to that heavy metal, maybe they have so much rage inside them and pain that the only way to get it out, the only way to heal themselves is to listen to that kind of music and bob their head and yell like that. That's how it works. And, you know, that's the thing, like, you know, we're so used to looking at things and saying, this is ugly, this is beautiful, to us. But in creation, there is no polarity. So, you know, next time you're looking at something and you're like, this needs to be taken down, this is not good, this is, you know, promoting something, you don't know what this was done for. If it's not for you, get out of it, go find another video. You know, resist the urge to eliminate it, to destroy it, because then you're being just like Hitler. Okay, you're being a fascist in a way. You're sitting there saying, this can't exist because it interferes with my comfort zone. Well, too bad, because creation thinks it needs to exist, and that's why it's there. So close the window, get out, and go find something that you like. But a lot of us do that. You know, we want to like ban it, we want to remove it, delete it, and it's not right. It's not right. I think everybody has the right to express themselves, and if it's not your cup of tea, then just walk away. Leave it for somebody who is, because for somebody it could be the only thing that's keeping them alive maybe these days. All right? And then another thing, ooh, it's a long one again. Let's say when you watch somebody for a while, you resonate with them. That's a big word nowadays, resonate. You resonate. Let's say you resonate with me. After a while, you may say, you know what, I'm not feeling Svetlana anymore. And that's it, you move on, and that's fine. You move on, you find the next one, and then the next one, because you're changing. You're always changing. And if the speaker is not changing, then you'll see the message is always the same. But you know what, hold on, I don't think that, no, disregard that. Members of the jury, disregard that last statement. Forget it. The idea that when you're done with somebody, go to the next one, and then you find the next speaker, and then eventually, you will get to a point, I promise you, you're going to be like, I don't need to listen to any more videos. I don't need any more guidance. I don't need any more, I don't have any more questions to be answered, because you can answer them yourself. You can do that now, but you're not trusting your own guidance. But eventually you will be so tired of just listening to all these opinions and people and how you should be and all these like videos and webinars and seminars, and you'll be like, I'm done. I am done, because I have myself. And that's actually the idea, is to bring everybody to themselves, to their own guidance. And my guidance can be totally different than yours, okay? My way of being on this earth, my little journey is different than yours. I have my own playbook, you have your own. They don't have to be the same. Okay, I think now we wrapped it up. That's it. Have a wonderful day, guys. Wonderful night wherever you are, and I will see you next